Shinji Ikari just killed the person he loved most while she was in a coma. That actually happened in End of Evangelion, and it's not even the darkest twist on this list. Nina Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist was a 4-year-old girl who loved playing with her dog Alexander. Her father, Sho Tucker, was a state alchemist whose certification was about to expire unless he created another talking chimera like he did 2 years ago. The Elric brothers visited the Tucker household regularly to study alchemy with Sho. Nina became especially close to Edward and Alphonse, calling Edward Big Brother Ed and following him around the house. One day when the brothers arrived, Shu proudly showed them his new creation, a chimera that could speak. The creature looked at Edward and said, "Big Brother Ed, play." Edward's face went white. He realized what Shu had done. The chimera was Nina fused with her dog Alexander. Shu had transmuted his own daughter into a monster to keep his license. When Edward demanded to know where Nina was, Shu calmly explained that she was right there in front of them, merged with the family dog. The worst part was what happened 2 years earlier. Shu's wife didn't leave him like he claimed. He turned his first wife into a chimera to get his state alchemist certification in the first place. The man had destroyed 2 members of his family for his career. Nina's chimera form didn't last long. Scar, a serial killer targeting state alchemists, found her shortly after and killed her as an act of mercy. She died as a confused, suffering creature who just wanted to play with Big Brother Ed. Homura Akemi from Madoka Magica spent the entire series trying to save her best friend Madoka from becoming a magical girl. The show presents Homura as cold and mysterious, warning Madoka to stay away from Kyubey and never make a contract. The truth is revealed in episode 10. Homura was originally a shy, weak girl with a heart condition who transferred to a new school. Madoka was the first person to befriend her and show her kindness. When a witch attacked, Madoka saved Homura's life as a magical girl. Homura was so grateful that she made her own contract with Kyubey, wishing for the power to protect Madoka. Her wish granted her time manipulation abilities. Then, Madoka died, fighting Walpurgisnacht, a massively powerful witch. Homura used her time powers to go back and try again. She went back over and over, watching Madoka die in different ways. Madoka getting killed by witches. Madoka turning into a witch herself. Madoka sacrificing herself to save everyone. Every single timeline ended with Madoka's death or corruption. The more Homura time traveled, the more she changed. She went from a timid girl who could barely fight to a cold, efficient warrior who would do anything to save Madoka. She became exactly what Madoka wouldn't want her to be. After hundreds of loops spanning over 10 years of subjective time, Homura was still failing. She had watched her best friend die so many times that she couldn't remember the exact number anymore. The darkest part is that Homura's time loops were making everything worse. Each reset increased Madoka's potential as a magical girl. Because multiple timelines were converging on her, Homura's desperate attempts to save Madoka were turning her into the most powerful magical girl in history, which made her an even bigger target for Kyubey. Homura had trapped herself in a cycle where her solution was creating the problem. Light Yagami from Death Note believed he was creating a better world by killing criminals. For most of the series, he's presented as a genius playing mind games with L. Then the truth comes out in the final episodes. Light didn't care about justice at all. He was just a narcissist who wanted to be worshipped as a god. When Ryuk finally writes Light's name in the Death Note, Light doesn't accept his fate with dignity. He begs. He crawls on the ground and screams for Ryuk to save him. The cool, calculated mastermind completely breaks down and dies alone on the floor of a warehouse, crying and desperate. All his talk about creating a new world was just him lying to himself about his god complex. Griffith from Berserk sacrificed every single member of the Band of the Hawk to become a demon god. The eclipse is one of the most brutal scenes in anime. Demons tore apart Guts' friends and comrades while Griffith watched and accepted it. He looked at Guts, the person who trusted him most and chose power over their lives. Then Griffith violated Casca in front of Guts while demons held him down and forced him to watch. This wasn't a crime of passion or insanity. Griffith was completely lucid and chose to destroy the 2 people who loved him most. He wanted Guts to suffer specifically because Guts dared to leave the Band of the Hawk to find his own dream. The worst part is that Griffith doesn't regret it. After becoming Femto, he shows zero remorse. When he later encounters Guts and Casca again as a reborn human, he feels nothing. The person they followed and believed in never actually cared about them. Kaori Miyazono from Your Lie in April was dying the entire time. She knew it, and she lied to everyone. Kusei fell in love with her, started playing piano again because of her, and built his entire emotional recovery around her presence in his life. She encouraged him, pushed him to perform, and made him believe they had a future together. Then she died. The letter she left revealed that she had a terminal illness from the beginning. She knew she was going to die when she approached Kusei. She lied about liking his friend Watari because she thought Kusei wouldn't spend time with her otherwise. Every smile, every performance, every moment of joy was her trying to give Kusei something beautiful before she was gone. She used the last months of her life to fix a broken stranger because she had loved him since they were children. Kusei never knew any of this until after she was already dead. Danganronpa's first game builds up Sayaka Maizono as the protagonist's closest friend and potential love interest. She's sweet, supportive, and seems genuinely kind. Then she tries to commit murder and frame Makoto Negi for it. Sayaka planned to kill Leon Kuwata in Makoto's room, so the evidence would point to Makoto as the culprit. Her plan failed when Leon fought back and killed her instead. With her dying breath, she wrote Leon's name in blood, which actually helped convict her killer instead of framing Makoto. The twist isn't just that she tried to kill someone, it's that she was willing to let Makoto, the person who trusted her most, get executed for a crime he didn't commit. She chose her own survival over his life without hesitation. Junko Enoshima from Danganronpa was revealed as the mastermind behind the entire killing game, but the real twist was how much she enjoyed despair. She didn't have a tragic backstory or understandable motivation. She orchestrated the apocalypse and murdered thousands of people because being bored was worse than death to her. When she finally lost and faced her own execution, she was ecstatic. She had programmed the execution to kill her in the most painful way possible, because even her own death was entertainment. The girl literally got off on her own suffering and demise. Squealer from Shinsekai Yori spent the entire series as the antagonist leading the monster rats in rebellion against humans. The final episodes reveal why he did it. Humans weren't actually the good guys. 1,000 years before the story, psychic humans enslaved normal humans and turned them into monster rats through selective breeding and genetic modification. The monster rats were human. They were the descendants of people who didn't have psychic powers, transformed into creatures that the psychics could kill without triggering their built-in psychological restrictions against harming other humans. Squealer's rebellion wasn't evil. It was enslaved humans fighting for their freedom against a society that had literally turned them into monsters to make them easier to oppress. The protagonist, Saki, realized she had been killing humans the entire time. Every monster rat she destroyed was a person. Yuki Takeya from School Live seemed like a cheerful girl enjoying school life with her friends in the school living club. The first episode plays out like a cute slice-of-life anime about girls having fun at school. Then the final scene reveals the truth. Yuki is experiencing a complete psychotic break. The school is abandoned and overrun with zombies. Her friends are just trying to survive while taking care of Yuki, who has mentally blocked out the apocalypse and genuinely believes they're just having a normal school club experience. Their teacher, the one Yuki talks to constantly, has been dead since the outbreak began. Yuki saw her die and couldn't handle it, so her brain just pretended it never happened. The entire first episode is shown from Yuki's perspective, so the audience doesn't realize they're watching a delusion until the reveal. Akane Tsunemori from Psycho Pass learned that the Sibyl system, the AI that judges everyone's criminal potential and runs society, isn't actually an AI. It's made from the brains of criminally asymptomatic humans, people whose psychopaths stays clear no matter what crimes they commit. These brains are kept alive in jars and networked together to form the collective intelligence that judges everyone else. The system that's supposed to create a perfect crime-free society is literally run by the brains of criminals and sociopaths. Akane was given the choice to expose this truth or keep it secret to maintain social order. She chose to keep the secret, becoming complicit in the lie. Sybil from Psycho Pass also offered to add Akane's brain to the collective because her crime coefficient stayed low even after learning the truth. They wanted to preserve her sense of justice by making her part of the system. Akane refused, but the fact that the offer was made shows how twisted the Sybil system really is. It wants to consume the people who could actually make society better. Don Quixote do Flamingo from One Piece revealed his backstory during the Dressrosa arc. His father, Don Quixote Homing, was a celestial dragon who gave up his status to live as a normal human. He moved his family out of Marijois and into a regular town. The townspeople immediately captured the family and tortured them for years as revenge for everything the celestial dragons had done to them. Doflamingo was 8 years old when people nailed him to a wall and set him on fire. His mother died from the torture and illness. His father kept apologizing and saying they should forgive the townspeople because the celestial dragons deserved this punishment. When Doflamingo Fanana escaped, he went back to Bassas-Zubot to Marijois with his father's severed head, hoping to be accepted back into the celestial dragons. They rejected him anyway. Everything Doflamingo became, all the cruelty and manipulation, traces back to being tortured as a child for crimes he didn't commit while his father told him to accept it. Mitty from Made in Abyss was a normal human child before she descended into the abyss with Nanachi. They were both test subjects for a man named Bondrewd who used children to experiment with the abyss's curse. When ascending from deep layers of the abyss, people suffer horrible effects. Bondrewd put Mitty and Nanachi in an elevator together and used a special device to redirect all the curse's effects onto Mitty. Nanachi transformed into a furry creature called a hollow. Mitty absorbed everything and turned into an immortal blob of flesh that could barely be called human anymore. She lost her ability to speak, think, or do anything except suffer. Bondrewd kept her alive for experiments, testing different ways to kill her because she had become functionally immortal. Nanachi escaped with Mitty and took care of her for years, but Mitty was already gone. The thing Nanachi was protecting was just a living corpse that used to be her best friend. When Reg finally killed Mitty with his incinerator, it was the only mercy she'd received in years. Sachiko Shinozaki from Corpse Party was an elementary school student who was falsely accused of being a kidnapper and murderer. The real killer was her mother, the school's nurse. When the police closed in, the mother hanged herself and left Sachiko to take the blame. The townspeople formed a mob, broke into the school, and murdered Sachiko by stomping on her until her tongue fell out. She died confused and terrified, knowing she was innocent but unable to make anyone believe her. Her rage and pain corrupted the entire school, trapping the souls of anyone who died there. For decades, Sachiko's ghost has been torturing and killing anyone who ends up in the school's dimension. She recreates her own death on other people, forcing them to experience the same terror and betrayal she felt. The Promised Neverland's first episode seems like a wholesome story about orphans living happily at Grace Field House. Then Emma and Norman see what's outside the gate. Their mom, Isabella, is raising them as food for demons. Every child who gets adopted is actually being shipped off to be eaten. The smart kids like Norman are premium-grade meat. Isabella isn't cruel because she wants to be. She was raised in the same system and became a mom because it was the only way to survive past childhood. The children she loves and raises are livestock, and she knows it. When Norman is selected to be shipped out, Isabella cries because she genuinely cares about him, but she ships him anyway because refusing would mean her own death. Rachel from Tower of God betrayed Bam in the worst way possible. Bam spent his entire life alone in a cave until Rachel found him. She was his everything, the only person he'd ever known. When Rachel entered the tower, Bam followed her because he couldn't imagine existing without her. He fought through impossible challenges just to see her again. When he finally reached her, she pushed him off the edge of the tower to his apparent death. Rachel didn't do this because she was forced to or mind-controlled. She did it because she was jealous. Bam was naturally talented and liked by everyone, while Rachel had to struggle for everything. She wanted to be special, to be the protagonist of her own story, and Bam's existence made her feel ordinary. So she tried to kill the person who loved her unconditionally, because he made her feel inadequate. If you want more dark anime content like this, subscribe and let me know which twist hit you the hardest in the comments.